Hey everybody, Chris Bober here with Team Bober and Nebraska Realty. Thank you so much for tuning in again, and we're really working hard to make sure that you know what's going on out there in the real estate market so you can make great decisions. So to my last video, we talked about the 2018 first half statistics, and we're gonna continue along that trend a little bit, maybe dive a little bit deeper into the stats that now Nebraska Realty has put together for us. And I'm going to include in the comments below a link to where you can go and watch our owner and broker of Nebraska Realty, Andy Alloway, who has a little bit different perspective of a small team leader or an individual agent like myself. He sees the marketplace for the whole company and for all of the 450 plus agents that we have. So he has some great insight on what's going on. But today I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that of our market summary for the first half of this year, okay? Again, of course, our mission is to educate and empower our clients to make great real estate decisions. We're here to basically be the mouthpiece in the marketplace so that you can trust us, and when you do have a real estate need, you call Team Bober. So when I look at the statistics of what we're going through today, there's three key factors that I believe are going to start to tell a story or tell the tale of what's going on in the market and maybe give us a little insight into what's coming up next. So the first one is going to be inventory, supply versus demand. We're going to see how that's changing a little bit for the good or bad, but it's changing no matter what. The next one's going to be the prices. Again, affordability comes into being a major factor here as prices continue to push up. At what point does affordability play a factor? And the last one is going to be the absorption rate. I look at the absorption rate, really it's the speed of the market, but for me it's kind of a barometer of the health of our market, and that's changing a little bit too. So as we get into this here, let's look at the overall close statistics of what we've seen year over the last 4 years. You can definitely see on this thing how we have a seasonality to a real estate market. Of course, over the winter it kind of dies out. We really get a major crescendo coming up in June and July, then it starts to fall back up. You see a little bit of a rise here, then it goes back down. Happens every year. This year, so far, we have overperformed in a couple key months. June was a great month. May was a little down. These months here actually are down a little bit, but in the summer, we're actually going up as far as transactions closed. It's been doing really well. July came in, and those aren't represented on this statistic, but July came in about the same as last year. So right where we expected, but what you will say is that over for the year, we're 1.4% down of residential closings. So I've seen a little bit of a lag in the market, some good months, some not so good, but we are trending a little bit down. Okay, that's a great graphic to show right there. Here's another one. This kind of takes it, it's interesting how some of the statistics can tell a story, but this one shows how low we were in inventory for the first 3 months of this year, with 18 in red and 17 the previous year in yellow. But then if you look at the second quarter of the year, the number of listings actually went up. So a little bit of a pent-up demand, not exactly sure why, but we did have a good amount of activity in the second quarter, which is leading to these great closings in June and July. So you look at between last year and this year, we actually have less inventory on the market here overall, but the average in inventory for the entire year is down 3.9%. So that's kind of what we expected. We are seeing just kind of a slowing down effect going into this market as people kind of feel out what's going to be happening. This is a great visual here on truly understanding the Omaha market, right? These statistics are for the Omaha area, and I think they're pretty indicative of what's going on out here. This big gray part here, we call that the sweet spot. $100,000 to $250,000. That's the market where most people in Omaha are buying houses, right? If you have a house in the $100,000 to $250,000 range, there's an enormous demand, and if you're going to sell, you're going to experience, if it's priced right for its condition, it's going to go fast and it's going to get a really good amount. Now, under $100,000 is less than 10%, and then as we go up, you see this is a lot of new construction. You have the 250 to 500, probably the sweet spot for new construction, which is a little odd because it should be in here. Hopefully someday it gets there, but that's a big one. And then we actually have the $1 million market has actually gone up too. So you don't even see the $1 million one on here; it's not even existed. But the $500,000 to $1 million is good as well. So this is another good statistics. These are just kind of laid out. You see how the $100,000 to $250,000, actually those transactions have gone down a little bit, right? You're seeing a little decrease there. Interestingly enough, when you look over here, the lowest market, the under $100,000 market, is down by 25%. I don't think that's because it's a bad market. I think a lot of those houses have gone to here. that a lot of these houses have risen in price into this market. And you look, the $500,000 plus market, which I actually look at that as more of a buyer's market now, because there's not a lot out there. These properties are going up in price ranges, which is why you would see the increase in residential closings in those price ranges. These properties that were now under 100 now are over 100, and the ones that were just under 250 are now over 250, just an increase in pricing, which is what you see there. But that's a new revelation to me, that these prices are moving into new price ranges. So it just goes to show you how high prices are going up. Again, price increasing. You're looking at a very, very steady increase right down here for existing residential properties. However, you're seeing kind of a leveling off effect of new construction. Maybe some of the previous slide here, when you're building most of your houses here, and this is where people want to be, all of a sudden, the inventory that's currently being sold is outpacing the new construction. At what point are they going to start coming down here? The problem with this new construction, this existing part is, we're not adding anything to that. Those are just the properties that have been there. They keep on changing hands, but the demand keeps on going up. It wants to get into this new construction, but that price range is down there. $330,000 versus $200,000. That's a huge gap. So people that can afford these houses down here can't afford new houses. So at some point, this inventory starts to build up, and we start seeing maybe a little bit of a price decline. All right, so we talked about pricing. We talked about the market, what's going on. Average days on market is another great indicator of the health of the market. Again, it's a little surprising to me that under $100,000, the prices, the market time for those is greater than the 100 to 150, which is of course the sweet spot. And we're seeing these at average days on market, as the price goes up, they stay out there a little bit longer. Of course, there's less people buying those. It's a little bit more difficult, takes a little time longer to see those. But we have seen this continue to stay down. Actually, if you look on here, this is the market average right here. Nebraska Realty, for some reason, we do a really good job. We lead the market in days on market. We sell our stuff fast. I think it's because we have the best agents. But the overall market speed actually is starting to go up. Okay, so we talked about this last couple weeks ago. For the last 2 months, we've actually seen an increase in days on market. The median is way down here, and that's because a lot of them do sell super fast. And then of course there's a lot of them there's not as many, but there's some that are up here. Okay, actually I think that this is a pretty telling little story here. In the year to date of July of 17, so a year ago, when we looked at this mid-year statistic, the average days on market was 24. This year, in 2018, it's at 26. So while the inventory's down, pricing is up, the speed's great, we are actually seeing these properties take a little bit longer to sell, right? So this is the second consecutive month of increases of days on market. Remember, we haven't had an increase of days on market for probably 3 or 4 years. Another indication that we're still trending in a little bit more of a balanced market. The absorption rate. Absorption rate is the rate at which the available homes are sold. Basically, it is how long it will take to exhaust the current supply of homes on the market given its demand. So we see the last 2 years, they've kind of stayed the same. Where before this, the numbers before this actually were way out here. They've come down. Now we're kind of leveling off a little bit. You'll see in the different markets, about a month's worth of supply is in the 100 to 250. The interesting thing about this is that these numbers here are starting to tell a tale of what's going on and what's kind of happening. We have been in a seller's market overall for a long, long time. If you want to define a balanced market where there's not an advantage for a buyer or a seller, that's probably about 5 to 6 months. We're at less than 2 months overall. As you can see, the prices go up. This is more of a seller. This is more of a buyer's market over here, right? Because those houses sit longer, the buyers have an advantage. In these lower markets, it's very, very much a seller's market, but that's starting to change. Because if we look at last year's, Nebraska Realty does this for us all the time for their agents, but last year, you look at it, again, it kind of stayed the same, but these markets here are what's changed. You look at over $500,000, all of a sudden, prices that were lower are going into that bracket, so it's actually changing the dynamic. 9.7 months versus 8.7, right? So it's coming down, but I think that's because a lot of these properties are moving $500,000 or more, and because of that, they are selling quicker because they're there. But that just goes to show you how the price increase will be. 2.2, we're at 1.8. We're at 1.8 again. If you look at this maybe next year, I start to see we're going to be 3 months maybe. As it starts to increase, you see like kind of a bill curve right there. So going in this, we talked about 3 key factors. Inventory. The conclusion is it's finally rising. We are finally starting to see more houses on the market. So if you're a buyer and you're going out there, you actually, yes, it's fast, we get this, but it's not as fast as it was maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago. Now in the pricing, it's still rising. And that is purely based on the inability to add any inventory into the price range where people are buying houses. Again, a problem we have not solved yet, but the prices are still going up. And then the absorption rate, it's holding steady. You know, it had been going down for several years now. It's kind of holding steady. It should be like a trailing effect to the increase in inventory. It should actually, the absorption rate should start to go up steadily towards a more balanced market. So the conclusion, the market is changing. Now the market's always changing, but for the last few years, it was kind of boring because it kept on getting better and better and better and better. Prices are going up and up and up. Who knows how long it takes for this market to change and turn over, but there are indications that it is changing. The inventory is building. We're finally getting inventory. That's nice. I know agents on both sides are really appreciating that. Prices are still rising like we talked about. New construction, we are not hitting the right market. Again, we're going to have to figure that out at some point. There should be more of a balanced market this fall. So if you are waiting to buy a house because it was too crazy out there, give us a call. You want to probably get back out there while interest rates are still pretty low and inventory is starting to build. It's a little bit slower time, a little more paced. You should be a little more successful this fall. But it is a great time to both buy or sell, right? If you're looking to sell, still a big demand. If you're looking to buy, money is still as cheap as it's been in a long time. Very good interest rates, and it's a good market all the way around. It's changing, but it's still pretty good all the way around. So remember, if you're looking to buy, sell, build, or invest in the Omaha area, call the pros at Team Bober, and we will tackle the market for you. If you want to reach out to me, if you have any more questions, my number's right here, 312-5076, or you can personally email me, chris@nebraskarealty.com, and we're here to answer questions. Whether it's just a quick little question or you're ready to buy or sell a piece of real estate, we're here to help you through the entire process. So thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the information we're giving today, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions.